Hi, Mrs. Lena. Sorry about the miscommunication earlier. I really apologize about that. But we are more than happy to live stream to you a demonstration of our application. We're really excited to see what you think of Persigon and how it could affect your classroom later on this summer and then later on in the fall. So just to start, I'll make my camera video a bit smaller so you can see the screen. So this is what Persigon looks like on typical login. You have your assignments in this general area right here, and a few other settings on the side. Just to get started, let's actually make a new class. When you first start an account, you'll start with a sample class, and that sample class will basically have the training wheels for some types of assignments you could make, but you really want to make a new class when you actually have it with real students, because that will actually go through all the security procedures and give you basically a new code so you could give it to your students and they could access the class. So we'll go through all those steps right now. So you click on Create a Class. I'm just going to title the class Demo Class 168. It might make sense for you to call it Calculus Class, Linear Algebra Class, whatever makes sense for your own classroom. And I'm just going to write sample description for now. I'm going to create a class. So when we have a new class, the platform will give us some important information. The main thing is this thing on the right-hand side. If you look at my mouse, it's towards the right-hand corner. And it gives us two important things. One is this URL, which is a link that you could pass to your students. When your students go to this link, they will either be prompted to sign up for Persigon, or it'll automatically go there if they already have an account. And it will be asked for a PIN. And once they enter this PIN, they are formally added to your account. You don't have to manually add all the email addresses. You just have to pass them a link, give them the passcode, and then once they enter that information, they would directly connect to your classroom. It's as easy as that. You could also change the name and the description on this page. You could also do other things that typically are there for the end of the year, such as archiving the class or deleting the class. But let's really create our first assignment. So to do this, we go to the assignments page on the left-hand column. Forgive my computer's a little bit slow because as I record the software, the computer is spending half of its energy recording the software, not half actually using the application. So it'll be a little bit slower than it actually is. So let's create a new assignment. So when you first create an assignment, you'll automatically be brought to the page to add questions. And on this page, you could add all the necessary things you typically want for digital assignment. So let's make this a calculus assignment. We'll just call it Calculus Review 1. And I would add perhaps solve the following multiple choice questions and short answer, and show work when prompted. So one of the great things about Persigon that's typically not available in other softwares is that we allow students to share their work. They could type up the way they actually solved the question, so you could really see what mistakes they might have made or how they got to an incorrect solution, or also how they got to the correct solution in the ending. So when we add a question, we have a few options. The main thing is the body of the question, what we wanted to say to the student. So for instance, I might say, solve the following integral. Now to add math, I could either click on this button over here, I can manually type in 2 brackets, or I could use a shortcut, which is Control M. I like using the shortcut just because it's really fast and easy. So I would just type in English what I want to do. For instance, integral from 0 to 10, or I'll do 0 to 20, of 3x cubed. So this would be what is presented to the student, and we have 3 different options here. We could either have a numerical answer, where we will solve the question, and it will auto-grade the solution for us at the end of the day. Or we could have a short answer where it won't auto-grade the solution, but it basically just allows students to answer in free form. In this case, we probably want to have it auto-grade itself, just so it's fast and easy for you. Short answer solutions typically are best when you want a student to show their proof, and there's not necessarily one specific answer. There might be multiple correct answers, and it's more about the logic. Numerical answer makes sense when there's a direct number at the end of the day that you want them to get to, and it'll automatically grade it for you. You could still award partial credit in the ending, which is great. So actually, to make this a little bit easier, I'm just going to make this x squared. And let's make this 0 to 10. So it's a very easy 1000 as the correct solution. And then I could also customize how many second chances students can get. I'll actually increase the size of the screen so you can see it a little more clearly here. I can make it infinite. So if they get infinite second chances, they could keep on guessing until they get the correct solution. You sometimes want to do this when you want people to just keep trying. Otherwise, you could give it them specifically 3 chances, for instance. So that's our first question. Let's add another. To keep this tutorial a little bit brief, I will just add something very similar. This is probably a lot easier than your actual class, but just for demo's sake, let's do something around the same. So in this case, let's add a multiple choice question. Let's give students 1 second try after if they guess incorrectly. And we could add different solutions here. So for instance, the correct solution of this one would be 625, I believe. Alright, so let's add the correct solution first. We could add some solutions we might predict they might make. And you really could add infinite solutions. You could have up to 10, 20 multiple choice questions. Typically the standard is 4 though. So, solution exists. I remember when I was in school, no solution exists would always be an option, but it was almost never the correct option. So I'm just going to save my work. It typically auto-saves the assignment as you work with it, just to make sure you don't lose your work halfway. Alright, great. Let's add one more. Let's make it a question that's a little bit indefinite. So just do integral of 2ax squared plus x over 5 plus cosine x. So as you see, as I type in x over 5 or 3x squared, it automatically converts them into the math. I don't have to do any other special formatting. Sometimes some things might be a little bit tricky, some things you might not know exactly how to say. So feel free to check out this guide found at the top. And this guide will basically, if you type in different questions, so it'll typically tell you exactly how to type things if it's a little bit confusing. If you can't find a solution, feel free to email us at any time, and we typically will be able to respond within 2 hours during business hours. Give us a bit to load. I think that as I'm recording, it's especially slow. My computer's fan is actually heating up right now. But for instance, if I was to say double integral, it will pop up different small articles that will just explain the basics of typing things in. So that's a nice thing. It's parsagon.com/guide, but you also could get through it through this blue banner right here. Cool. So we created a first assignment. Now I have a few options. One of the things I could do is I could print it out. If you want to distribute things traditionally and not have people sign up to the classroom or just once in a while distribute things traditionally, this is a great option. So I click on print, and then it will load me a page that's much more print friendly to the user. And then just click on the typical Control P to print things out. It'll pop up the screen, and you'll directly be able to print it out from here. Cool. So as you can see, prints out. It also automatically creates space so that people could share their work. It will automatically customize the multiple choice, etc. However, if we want to distribute it online, we would simply go to the settings page, which was probably the page you were referring to actually when you emailed me about not seeing the questions. And we don't have any students currently in this class. I have some students added to the other class, so I'll show you a little bit more of the features there. But the one very important step here is we want to make the assignment open to submissions. This is important. When you create an assignment, it's typically private. No one else could see it, so you have time to make it. You don't have to make it in one go. You could build it over time. But once you're ready for students to answer, simply just toggle this to be open to submissions. And you could set a specific due date to whatever due date you want to. And then after that, once you grade the assignment, you could also release grades from the same dropdown. So nearing the end to this typical demo, but let's actually look what a much more full assignment looks like when we have a whole class in. So I switched classes, and I'm going to go to the assignments of that class, and click on this mixed assignment here. So I have a few sample demo accounts of students added to this class, 8 to be exact. I've also graded this assignment, so you got to kind of see how the page looks like when there's all the students added. On the right-hand side, we see assignment statistics. I'll zoom into that. This provides your typical class statistics, the median, the average, standard deviation, highest grade. You also could see a class breakdown in this chart down here. Given it's only 8 submissions, you don't see too much variance in the chart, but as the class gets larger, you can see full class statistics and really break down what are things people are struggling with, which students are struggling with things, etc. I could grade the assignment in 2 different ways, and this is important. I could either click on a specific student and grade them directly from here. So for instance, I could give them 9 points, 5 points, 4 points, etc. This was a question that auto grades itself, because it knows what the correct answer is. And it tells me what their correct answer is, what their incorrect answer is. And if it's correct, it'll give them 10 points. If it's incorrect, it'll give them 0 points. But you could also override the grade. You could say, let's give them 3 points partial credit, 4 points partial credit, if you believe that to be fit. So that's some of the nice things about numerical answer. You could still award partial credit, even though it will grade itself. And multiple choice will just grade itself by itself, because by nature, multiple choice tends to be a pretty binary thing. The one last feature of this page that's really great is you could also grade the classroom at once. So instead of going student by student, you could also do it question by question. So there's a grade button right here in the top right hand corner. I'm going to click on that. And here we see different responses. So this was a question we typed, how many points it was. There was 10 points. And we see different people's responses. So this is what Jane Doe said. This is what James Lee said. And we could see the different ways they solved the question. We could also change the grades from this page itself. You will see the total grade that they will get when you make this change. So for instance, if I give a Nook 8 points instead of 0 points, you'll see this change from 10 out of 30 to 18 out of 30. That sometimes could just give you a general scope how they're doing on the assignment overall. And all the questions show up on this page, which is nice. So I could just change everything. You can see how people did on multiple choice, etc. So that brings me pretty much to the end of the tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you really have any questions along the way, please reach out. One thing I do want to show you before we wrap this up is a new feature. It's going to be partially ready in June for calculus and ready for all subjects when fall semester comes through. And it might be something that you might find helpful. So one of the great things about Parsagon is it's great to type up questions. It's very easy to format it. It's very easy to customize how things look and how people respond to questions. But we also want to make it easy for teachers to be able to import questions from a pre-created question bank. So that it's easy to create an assignment fast without having to type up questions yourself. So this is a new feature that's being rolled out in part on June 1st, but also in full once fall semester comes through. It'll take a little bit to load, especially with the screen recording. But the general idea is there will be in the ending around 25,000 questions. By June, there will be questions just for Parsagon. I think the screen recording is actually going to drive this out. I'm not sure if you can hear it through the audio, but the fan is really rolling out on my computer right now. Let me try on a new page. Sorry about that. You know a computer is running slowly when it takes a few seconds to drag a tab. Alright, let's try a second round. If not, I could perhaps make a second video and pass this to you instead. Fingers crossed the computer will hold up. There are 400 questions on this page, so that's part of it. Yeah, I think this is going to be too much for the computer when it's recording at the same time. I'll take a screenshot of this actually and pass it to you in a separate email later on. But yeah, that's the end of the demo. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at any time. And tell me how it is, tell me how you think of it, and we'll be able to assist you any step of the way. Have a great day, and again, sorry about the miscommunication before.